Right, we will reconvene the regularly scheduled board meeting for October 25th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lara,
Here.
Ms. Cabral,
Here.
Mrs. Cordero,
Here.
Mr. Valencia,
Present.
Mr. Hollinshead.
Here, I just want the student leaders to notice we're on time. Trying to set a good example. Dr. McDuffie, do we have a report out, please, from closed session?
Yes, we do. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Andrew Rodriguez, physical therapist. The roll call vote was unanimous. That's all I have.
Excellent. We'll have move into. Oh, no, wait, we're not going to. We have these guys, right? Have the pledge and then these guys. We didn't have any. It goes straight from there to public comment.
Did you introduce the interpreters?
I didn't. I don't have any of that here.
Yes.
There it is. Is that not it? No, that's not it.
Page 2.
No.
Page 3.
Page 3. Sorry. I apologize for the delay. I'm not setting a great example. This evening's interpreters are Benito Flores and the amazing Cesar Ruiz. Greeting and support this evening is being provided by Victoria Vences, Saida Hernandez, and Benji Alfaro. And just as a reminder to those who are speaking, please want to remind you of your pace so that those interpreters can convey what your thoughts are to those in attendance, and be respectful of that for them in any time you're speaking. This evening we'll have a pledge of allegiance by one of the chosen student leaders. Gina, you want to pick somebody? He was, you know what? You were here last time. I think you should do it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome back, students. We are so glad to have you here with us tonight. We've missed you for the first meetings of the year. This evening, we're going to hear from our student advisory group, our student leaders, and Gina Danley. Gina, if you're going to want to get the party started, presentation.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. McDuffie, Board President Mr. Hollinshead, board members and members of cabinet. Good evening y buenas noches, los padres. It is my pleasure to be here this evening to introduce to you some of our 2023-2024 student leader and advisory team members. We are thrilled to be hosting this program for its second year. And interview process at their school sites. This has grown to be a very coveted position. Our student leaders represent the voices and interests of the 17,000 other students in the district, and they take that very seriously. Throughout the year, we will invite a small group of students like this to speak to our school board meeting, so that they can tell you about their experiences throughout the year. With that, I will let each of them introduce themselves, but tonight you'll hear from students from Jimenez, Rice, Tunnel, Fairlawn, and Arianes Junior High.
Hello, board members. My name is Ali Ahmed, and I'm an 8th grader at Arianes Junior High. I appreciate my school for the opportunities that it gives students, such as the Allen Hancock Career Carnival field trip. Visiting different booths helped me think about possible future careers. As a student leader, I am working on my assertiveness. by giving others a chance to speak. During Forum 1 in September, I took a strength assessment test of my personal identity strengths. At the time, I did not understand, but now I know my strengths, such as resilience, and I work on them from my experiences. I believe this is valuable because this is the type of assessment could help students to find out more about themselves and work on their strengths. I want to thank you for listening and learning from students' perspective and trying to find out what each student thinks and says, to take our feedback and to make more improvements at our Santa Maria Bonita schools. Thank you.
Hello, board members. My name is Jasmine Enriquez Martinez, and I am a sixth grade student at Fairland Elementary. At my school, I am most proud of the creativity they have. They always have something new and fun for us to learn and different ways of learning for all their students. As a student leader, I am working on raising my hand by learning that it's important to listen and value other people's opinions. During Forum 1 in September, I learned how to be organized and plan things. This learning has inspired me to be more organized and clean. In addition to participating in the forum, I participated in a Zoom meeting where I provided feedback on the new district logo by raising my hand, sharing my thoughts, and listening to other people's opinions, as well as learning about new jobs that I could be or consider being. This experience taught me how to work with new people and think about different things. I want to thank you for listening to me, as the student leader advisor team has taught me extraordinary things and thought about how all of us feel and make sure we feel welcome. For next year, I would like to see myself participating in more activities and not being shy when I meet new people. Also, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be in student leader advisor team, and have a wonderful evening.
Hello, board members. My name is Analia Anguiano Cardenas. I am an eighth grader at Jimenez. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present to you this afternoon. What I admire most about Jimenez is that they don't see limits to us becoming the best individuals possible. As a student, what I admire most about Jimenez is that they help us become the best individuals that can help us a lot in the future. As a student leader, I am working on understanding why people feel the way they do. I understand how it feels growing up and not understanding the language. Educators teach. Educators believed in me, and so did my parents, to help us achieve the skills. This has helped me believe in myself and be thankful for the teachers that have taught me. During Forum 1 in September, I learned that it's okay for people not to feel anxious, but it's the way we deal with these emotions that leave a lasting effect. This learning has inspired me to pay more attention to people's actions and try to help. In addition to participating in the forum, I participating in providing feedback on the new district logo by sharing what I experienced and giving my opinion. This experience has taught me that representing people is important to make sure everyone can feel a part and be happy in the world they live in. I want to thank you for this opportunity as a student leader advisor team has given me experience on leading that will benefit me in the future. To achieve my goals in life, it has given students a voice and being able to be heard. I hope we never lose it because students are able to speak up and gain confidence.
Hello, board members. My name is Jose Garcia, and I am an eighth grader at Arianes Junior High. At my school, the teachers are the strongest part of the school because they encourage us to learn and engage in class. As a student leader, I have learned I'm an assertive leader who is comfortable standing up for others and myself when it is needed, but I'm working on listening to others when they have a different opinion than mine. In September, I learned how to use a calendar better than I had before for planning near and long-term events. This skill has helped me as a leader because I can be prepared and organized for my future activities. In addition to participating in the forum, I participated in a feedback meeting for the new logo design. This taught me how student voices are valued in our district. Being a part of the student leader advisory team has taught me to plan with intentions and prepare for my events. Thank you for listening to student leaders because we represent all the students in Santa Maria Bonita School District.
Hello, board members. My name is Leah Lewis, and I'm a student I'm a sixth grader at Tunnel Elementary. At my school, I am most proud of all the teachers that come every day and take good care of us. As a student leader, I'm working on taking the initiative to be more courageous and try new things, as well as growing my executive skills like responsibility and organization. During Forum 1 in September, I learned that people can be shy at first, and as you get more comfortable, you loosen up. This learning has inspired me to put myself outside of my comfort zone to get to know new people. In addition to participating in the forum, I participated in providing feedback for the new district logo. Together as a leadership advisory team, we worked together to discuss and share our thoughts about the options for the new design. I am most proud of all my fellow leadership advisory team members and how we were all able to overcome our shyness and collaborate together. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me and my leadership teammates. For next year, I hope we have many more nice people like all of you who helped all of us kids from the Student Leader Advisory Team. Again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak and to share this time with you.
Hello, board members. My name is Kareen and I am an Eagle sixth grader at Rice School. I am most proud to be at Rice School because my school has nice, kind teachers and students. Rice has many fun events like Spirit Days and a yearly Health and Wellness Night. At Health and Wellness Night, families get information on healthy foods and activities. Sometimes kids can win frisbees, jump ropes, and bikes. Last year, families got berries to take home. As a student leader, I am working to be a voice for all the students here at Rice and would be happy to share my classmates' concerns with the board and to be more confident while public speaking. One thing that the students miss in my school is reading counts. We no longer have the program. My classmates say that it was fun and it motivated them to read. I wonder if we could get reading counts back at Rice for our students. I really want to be a good leader and present a request from our students at Rice School to you, the Santa Maria Bonita School District, on the providing reading counts program to our students. For next year, I would like to see more programs that inspire students to read, write, and learn math like reading counts. I remember during my time with reading counts, we would accumulate points during reading quizzes, which led to earning diplomas. I achieved an associate degree, a bachelor's degree, and a master's. I was aiming for my doctorate when the COVID pandemic caused our schools to close. When I returned to school, there was no longer a reading counts program. What I really liked about the reading counts program was that it motivated students to read and earn points to get awards, which made the students happy. I look forward to a response, hopefully by the next board meeting, on reading counts for our students and what we can do to get the program back. During forum number 1 in September, I learned that to be more confident, we need to take risks and participate even when we don't want to. This learning has inspired me to speak my ideas so others can understand me. In addition to participating in the forum, I got to meet the counseling team to provide feedback on the new district logo. I think we should change the logo by putting more bright colors that represent children. Colors like bright pink and green. This experience taught me to do better and to do my best effort. I want to thank you for listening to everything I said today. Thank you.
Maggie, they don't have to stand in the corner. Come on, you guys, come on up here towards the dais. Come on up here. This is called the dais up here where we sit. So why don't you guys come on up here and then you can turn around and face Ms. White that way with Ms. Stanley and get your pictures taken. Yep. All the way back here, a little bit further, Gina. Yeah, there you go. And we almost never put our fingers up behind your heads. Except that one time. Bring it up.
Let's take a picture of the kids.
Just make sure it's in portrait mode so we're all really fuzzy. And then do the parents want to have pictures taken with their kids? Come on up. Bring it up here. You're in the back. You're all in Anybody else can take photos as well? Students, you did not disappoint. And by that, I mean, you guys were awesome. Thank you, Ms. Danley, for sharing these guys with us this evening. As your fellow students have shared before, there is a little bit of nervousness going on before you get up there. A lot of you guys will say you're shy and that you don't do really well with public speaking, and then you'll just crush it just like you did. So thank you very much for your thoughts, especially your thoughts about what your other fellow students have concerns about. I encourage you to continue to go out and be that kind of leader and listen to what your fellow students have to say, and really just be a good open door kind of person where you're hearing their concerns, and then you can share them again with us or Miss Stanley and the folks on your site. And that's really the beginning of the leadership process, right? Is being a good listener, and then starting to think about how you can take some of those concerns and put things into action that help your fellow classmates. But that may be all they need is just somebody that listens and acknowledges them. So I appreciate you guys' presence on your campuses. You're all very mature in your presentations tonight too. I mean, you had a very good ease about doing this. I could tell you practiced and that this is something you've been working on. So great job. Thank you so much for being here. Oopsies. All right. Now comes the really fun part, public comment. Item 8, public comment, open session. Public comments are intended for members of the public to address the Board of Education on items involving the school district. Such testimony shall be limited to 3 minutes each or 450 words per person or subject and 15 minutes total for each topic. If an answer to a specific question is requested, the board president will, if appropriate, direct administration to respond in writing. So again, if there are there comments?
We just have one.
Okay, I would just ask that one person to make sure they're speaking slowly enough for or is it on a phone or something?
It's a phone.
Dang it. Feel free, Cesar, to tell us to stop if you need to catch up or something and with the recording. Play it, Mr. Reiki.
It is Helen Galvin.
Oh,
Good evening. My name is Helen Galvan, Galvan, speaking on behalf of the American GI Forum Education Foundation, or the AGIF. The AGIF is strongly against banning books. We feel it is an injustice to anyone, and especially in regard to students of any age. Books contain a vast amount of knowledge and information, and we all have the right to access this knowledge and make our own judgments about it. Whether we agree or disagree with the content, we have the right to use our own judgments to decide whether we will act upon the knowledge or set it aside as someone else's opinion. The First Amendment guarantees us that right. Educators should provide students with access to diverse ideas and perspectives through literature, while ensuring that the books align with the institution's values and are age appropriate. Educators should not censor or ban books based on personal beliefs, but instead help students form their own perspectives and critical thinking skills. Disagreements from parents should not prevent other students from accessing materials. Educators have the responsibility of helping students become well-rounded and informed individuals through exposure to diverse perspectives. The school district has the same responsibility to all students, and we hope that Santa Maria Bonita School District will go on record as saying they are against banning any book. And while they recognize that a parent may have an objection to a certain book or books, they cannot prevent other students from accessing that information. Thank you.
That's all we have.
all right, great. I'll move on to item 9, approval of the agenda as presented. I have a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
And I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. Lara and seconded by Ms. Cabral that the board approve the agenda as presented. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero,
Aye.
Mr. Valencia,
Aye.
Mr. Hollinshead.
Aye. Motion passes. And we'll move on to consent. I have a motion to approve the consent item as presented, consent agenda, excuse me, as presented.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
And I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Valencia, seconded by Mrs. Cordero that the board approve the consent agenda as presented. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero,
Aye.
Mr. Valencia,
Aye.
Mr. Hollinshead.
Aye. We'll move on to item 9, action items. Item 9A, agreement with Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley to provide conflict resolution mediators. Dr. Z.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent McDuffie, Cabinet, and Santa Maria family. I'm here tonight to present our contract that it's a renewal. So it's with Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley. It is for one conflict mediator that is assigned to each junior high school site. And they work with our students to resolve issues and de-escalate volatile situations. They do it on the front end, and then they do follow-ups with those students to make sure that things are still working smoothly. They communicate with the staff and parents about the progress of those students, and they also prevent altercations between students on a regular basis. And the contract is for $380,000 for the year. We started this last year. I've got it here. I'm testing my eyes right now. We started it in January of 2023. Tommy Kunst has the longest. Last year, there were a lot of people that they started, but they didn't finish out the year. So Tommy Kunst, you'll hear, I'll give you some numbers of how many students have been served with this program. Tommy Kunst had the person that stayed for the duration, but there were some where they started the year, but then moved and they had to fill the position. We are currently staffed at all of the junior highs right now. So everyone is working. So Arianas Junior High had 258 conflict mediation services provided between January of last year and through this year. Fesso Junior High had 157. Tommy Kunst had 389, and El Camino had 82. And that's, again, that was the shortest. They had the longest vacancy at El Camino Junior High, which accounts for the lowest numbers. But that's what our truancy mentors do. I did get a comment from one of the principals who stated our conflict mediator is outstanding. She has helped to resolve problems with students before they become discipline issues, has restored relationships after student discipline, and has supported teachers and students in restorative practices. We rely on her expertise and support daily. And I can tell you, when I was at Tommy Kunst last year, our conflict mediator was working overtime, and she did an outstanding job, and she prevented a lot of issues from happening on our campus. So it was a really valuable asset to have.
Any questions or discussion? Mr. Valencia.
A question that I have is there a reason why we contract out this service? Because are they like a contractor, if we will? Is that what Fighting Back Santa Maria provides for us?
Yes.
And so what are the pros and cons of hiring a contractor versus hiring those folks like directly our district, like them being these conflict mediators being direct employees of our district?
Well, with the contract with Fighting Back for the conflict mediators, in the past, that used to fall on the counselors for their responsibility. So we've taken it off of their plate. So we've not hired our own people, as this is something that we just started last year with the contracting and having these people that just specialize solely in that job responsibility. So that has been their primary focus. So it's still a new program to us, and we're still learning about it, but it's been something it's been able to let the counselors focus on the students with academic needs and work with those things, while the conflict mediators have been doing that on their own.
And so in this situation, if they're contracted out, is there for their employer Fighting Back Santa Maria, and then responsible for like things like
training,
health insurance and things like that?
Correct.
We provide health insurance.
No, that is all Santa Maria, Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley. They provide the training, the in-service, the supervision, and they work closely with us if there are issues or they need to communicate with us. We have monthly meetings with all of our contracting agencies to talk about the services that are provided, what we can do to improve. If we need to troubleshoot anything, we have those standing meetings on a monthly basis with our contractors.
Mr. Valencia, just to go back to your first point, and he had Dr. Zimmerman had spoke about some of the things that conflict mediators do and some of the anecdotal data that was collected on that. And what I'd like for us to do is maybe talk with Santa Maria about Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley to see if there are any other data that they can provide us in regards to conflict mediators. It's very difficult to put numbers to counseling and conflict mediators, but they may have some additional data that may be helpful for us to determine some of the things that have been done with the students, whether it's referrals to other agencies to have assistance or to get assistance. So we'll look into that as well as far as any other data that we can gather to show their effectiveness in our schools.
Yeah, I appreciate that question, that point, Dr. McDuffie, because, we talk about being data driven, right? And being able to, look at the evidence, if you will, right, to support the effectiveness of whoever it is that we're hiring services for. And so it also causes me to think about, like, what are the pros and cons of, say, hiring, out versus us, them being our own employees, which we then supervise, which we then train and things like that. And then also, is there a cost benefit also to that, right? Like, in other words, do you know if rates increase when we contract out these services as opposed to hiring somebody ourselves?
They do a bid. So for a 3-year process, they propose a bid, which sets the price of what it would be for an hourly rate. So those would be numbers where, if we did our own positions, we would have to have some kind of pay scale for that. So, but they provide that when they do the bid every 3 years.
And do you know what that hourly rate is?
Off the top of my head, no, but I would be able to provide that to Dr. McDuffie. And
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, Dr. Zimmerman. One of the other things is this is a duty or responsibility that usually in a school setting is for the counselor. And many times I remember being a middle school principal, our counselors were also the conflict mediators. So there's not necessarily conflict mediators that work as conflict mediators that are necessarily hired for just that specific duty. And so I don't know if that would be more difficult to bring someone on that's not part of a more comprehensive program that Santa Maria, Fighting Back Santa Maria has.
And maybe to be comprehensive in the presentation for information to the board, we could include what the Fighting Back Santa Maria's job description and parameters are around the qualifications for the folks that work for them, just so we can have there's not any further questions about that, since they're not our employees.
We can do that, yes.
Yeah, John, that was going to be my next question is what are the qualifications of these folks? Do they major necessarily in like conflict mediation, or, do you know what the qualifications are for these folks?
We would get the job description and we could have that for you. Yeah.
And then how many folks is it? You said one per junior high school. Does that include Jimenez? So is
No.
it a total of 4? So it's a total of four folks?
Mhm.
Okay. And yeah, I think those are the main questions that I have. Thank you very much.
Right, there being no further discussion or questions, I'll entertain the motion.
I'll move to approve the agreement with Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley to provide school culture, climate support, conflict mediation, and peer mediation oversight as presented. And I'll second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Cordero and seconded by Ms. Cabral that the board approve the agreement with Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley to provide school culture, climate support, conflict mediation, and peer mediation oversight as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item 12A, discussion item regarding special education update.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent McDuffie, Cabinet. Eric and I are pleased to be here with you this evening to do an update on special education update. So Santa Maria Bonita School District continues to work towards providing more inclusive opportunities for students with disabilities. This update will include successes and challenges, professional learning the department has and is providing, perspectives of educational partners, state monitoring of student outcomes, and in least restrictive environments, federal laws and ed code, our priorities for the year, the next steps for the department, and how this work ties directly into the belief that all students belong, have a voice, and can contribute. Special Education Director Eric Thompson will give an update on the district's inclusion plan. Eric?
Good evening, President Hollinshead, Superintendent McDuffie, members of the board, cabinet, members of the community. Tonight, I am privileged to bring you an update from the Special Education Department on inclusionary practices in the Santa Maria Bonita School District. I want to begin with one of our district's beliefs as outlined in our strategic plan, and that is the belief that all students belong, have a voice, and can contribute. This directly aligns with the premise of inclusion, which is the belief that all students belong. I'll start with a little bit on federal law and ed code. Last year, I went over federal law and least restrictive environment, and all states that receive federal funding must adhere to the law. But last year, California actually added additional language to ed code that specifically speaks to inclusionary practices and serving students in the general education setting. I'd like to point out that in this ed code, they specifically call out that all pupils are general education pupils first, including students with disabilities. And that inclusion in the general education classroom should be considered the first setting for all pupils. Last year, I also went over state performance plan indicators related to least restrictive environment. Last year, and the state has made these targets more rigorous, and the recent addition to ed code, this information has now been added to the California dashboard, California school dashboard. So what does all that mean for Santa Maria Bonita? And what happens if we're not meeting these targets? Let's first begin with our data. And just want to point out that the state is always a year behind on the data for monitoring purposes. So this data is from 2021, 2022. And you can see our percentage of students demonstrating proficiency is not where we would want it to be. Our students with disabilities are only 4.25% proficient in English language arts and only 3.77% in math. Now, this last year, Ms. Grock went over the data. We did raise slightly, but we're still not where we want to be. Another area that they monitor us on is least restrictive environment. And in 2021, 2022, we did meet the target, which was 60%. We were serving 65% of our students in the general education for 80% of the time or more. But the target has been raised each year, and by 2025, we need to be at 70%. So we still need to increase and improve. But where we didn't meet the target, and this is directly related to least restrictive environment, is serving students in the regular class less than 40% of the time. And so this is our students, these are our students in our special day classes or in resource for the majority of the day. And the target was 18%. We were at 21.32%. And we need to be reduce that down to 12% by 2025 in order to meet the targets. So it's quite a gap that we need to close in a short amount of time. That being said, and what does all this mean? This means that 35% of our students do not have similar access to the general education curriculum or the social experiences their peers have. And that nearly a quarter of our students with disabilities are segregated from their peers for the majority of their day. How does this information affect us as a district? One, we are currently being monitored by the state as to our progress. We are in the continuous improvement model at targeted level 3. And that means that we currently can work independently on creating a plan to improve these outcomes for students and to increase the number of students in the least restrictive environment with the guidance of CDE and SELPA. But we were only 1 point away from being in the intensive level. And in the intensive level, that's where CDE would actually oversee our plan and help us to create a plan to improve and meet those targets. Now, all of that legal jargon and CDE, we have to do it. But this is why we are moving towards inclusionary practices. These students, their families, our community, this is why we are doing and moving towards inclusionary practices. And so you've heard a lot from me at this point. So the next few slides are the voices of our students, their families, and their teachers. Here's Sadie, and here's a beautiful result of general education teacher and a special education teachers working together. Sadie has shown tremendous courage this year as she stepped out of her comfort zone to join Mrs. M's class for inclusion. She has embraced the change and shown exceptional growth while being an active participant in a new setting. We are so proud of Sadie and the courageous way she has embraced kindergarten so far. From Sadie's teacher. A parent's perspective. As a parent, it is gratifying to witness my son Jace learn, experience, and grow socially, emotionally, and academically in a less restrictive environment. An environment which accommodates and caters to the abilities of all learners and their diverse learning styles, while also modeling acceptance and respect. Jace's mom. An education specialist perspective on co-teaching. It has been such a privilege to see students grow next to their peers in the general education setting. I'm thankful for the people who believed this was the best for students and allowed me to serve students in the environment they deserve. One of our ed specialists. A general education teacher's perspective. I get it. Inclusion brings with it an entire set of unknowns to the classroom. It has the potential of disrupting the class. There are modifications that we need to make. Behavioral and/or academic issues need to be addressed. We forget that equality doesn't equate to equity. Equality is giving all students the same opportunity to learn and practice. Equity is leveling the playing field so all students experience success. As teachers, we need to find what works for each child. There's no magic. It takes time and effort. The magic happens when you've discovered what works for the student and you. When you uncover the brilliance and excitement in the child, that's the reward that comes with inclusion. And Johnny's teacher. And I feel very privileged to work with such amazing students, families, and educators in our SMBSD family. A few board meetings ago, I felt so proud to be part of a community that stands up in support of diversity, equity, and inclusion. When we discuss DEI, many times individuals with disabilities are left out. But we cannot have DEI without inclusion of students with disabilities. Mr. Valencia, I appreciate how you always ask the question about research behind a decision. And there's a lot of research around the benefits of inclusion for students. But what is more profound is in this statement that there is no research that supports the value of a segregated special education class or school. Also important from this report by the National Council on Disability, specifically for the students we serve here in Santa Maria Bonita School District, is that students of color tend to be disproportionately segregated. I was in a training recently, and there was a quote by Dr. Eric Carter of Vanderbilt University up on the wall that really struck me. And it was that early segregation does not merely predict later segregation, it almost ensures it. Now let's flip it. Early inclusion does not merely predict later inclusion, it almost ensures it. This next perspective from an education specialist is a perfect example of just that. Inclusion is a huge but necessary mountain that we are currently climbing. The challenges are blatant and in our faces, while our wins are more subtle. However, the wins outweigh the challenges when it comes to the quality of life these students are able to have when included. Students who just a few years ago would have been put in a special day class are now fully included and are showing growth not only academically, but socially. These benefits are also being generalized to other environments. For example, one of my students who in the past would have been put in a special day class was placed in general education. He needed little support and saw success quickly. Seeing this, his parents felt more comfortable signing him up for community sports and decided to start with baseball. By the end of the season, he was socializing with his teammates and had learned how to play baseball. I hope he's a Red Sox fan. His parents were overjoyed with his success and were excited to keep challenging him with new sports. The smile on his face when his teammates would cheer him on and ask him to join them in playing catch was enough to make every challenge worth the ride. So what is SMBSD doing in order to be more equitable and inclusive? Here is SMBSD's inclusive evolution. SMBSD is addressing inequalities by supporting students in the least restrictive environment. The students in Santa Maria Bonita School District are now able to receive services and supports at their neighborhood school to the greatest extent appropriate. Students who had little or no access to core curriculum, enrichment opportunities, after-school sports are now able to access and participate. Now, I'm not going to say that everything is not without its challenges. We have a lot of challenges. This work is hard. But from these challenges come opportunities that will help support all students. And these are some of the challenges that we face. The self-efficacy of our general education teachers in supporting our students with disabilities in their classrooms. And to our general education teachers, we are not expecting, your students are not expecting you to be their special education teacher. We're not. Your students need you to do what you do best, and that's be their teacher. Give them access to the curriculum and social experiences that they would not have had otherwise. We are here to work with you and to support you and your students. We need to continue to build capacity of our special education teachers, supporting students in the general education environment. We are working with all of our instructional assistants and providing training on how to better support our students. We're working on building strong partnerships with our families. We've had 3 sessions with parents on special education since the end of last year and have partnered with Alpha Resource Center, a parent advisory group, on 2 of these. We need to continue to build the systems and structures such as Universal Design for Learning and MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support, that will support all students. Collaboration. We need to find the time for our general education teachers and special education teachers to collaborate. As Johnny's teacher stated, there isn't a magical professional development or training that is going to make things immediately better. And therefore, we are working to be intentional in embedding strategies and supports into all trainings that will help our teachers to support all students in their classroom. And finally, mindset. It has been said that the biggest barrier to inclusion is mindset. And that's not meant to be a slight to anyone. But I'm going to give you a couple examples that are real, and we have heard from our SMBSD family. The language that we use when we say the inclusion students, it's exclusionary in nature. It's like they have to be invited in. We can't really belong if we're having to invite people in. And also the idea that students with disabilities can only get what they need in a special education classroom. In fact, the research actually shows that students receive less instruction in a special education setting and lose out on the valuable social experiences. These statements are said with good intention, but they are not based on what the research shows is best for students with disabilities and does not follow law or ed code. We need to continue to work on changing our mindset around education for disability, or for educating students with disabilities. So we have quite a few challenges, but we've been working hard to turn those into opportunities. And when we received additional special education funding, we utilized it to increase staffing support. And here's a list of what we've added to date. All of these additional supports to help support inclusive efforts in our students with disabilities in the general education setting. This includes, we added 70 instructional assistant positions to support students in inclusive environments. And that doesn't include the fact that we increased nearly 60 instructional assistants from part-time to full-time. With the help of our agency partners, we are fully staffed. In fact, We even have some substitute instructional assistants to help fill our vacancies when we have absences. Our move towards inclusion has even helped us in recruiting talented teachers to our district. This is one potential candidate and now current employee who wrote on their application on their reason for leaving their previous district. I appreciate how Santa Maria Bonita is continuing to increase the inclusion time for all students. In an effort to support inclusion, we have been able to keep our caseloads well under the state caseload caps of 28. And you can see where we compare to other local districts, many of which who are still struggling to hire special education teachers. As part of our support plan for inclusion, we added district support specialists who would be able to help build capacity of teachers around the district on supporting students with disabilities by providing consultation and trainings. These trainings are available to all staff. And here is the data on the types of supports this team has already provided throughout the district to these individual teachers, site teams, through district-wide trainings. And here are some more different types of trainings offered by the district support team. We've also provided training to our instructional assistants on Thursdays, provided by our outstanding BCBAs, mental health specialists, psychologists, and SLPs, where there was little training previously provided to our instructional assistants. But inclusion isn't just about the classroom. We believe that inclusion should be in all aspects of a student's life. Our enrichment programs, including our enrichment programs. And that's why we have partnered with our amazing colleagues from Expanded Learning, Migrant Education, and Plan Alignment to ensure that all students have access to these events. I want to give a shout out to our program specialist, Shelby Jordan, who, when hearing that some students with disabilities would not be able to participate in certain programs, spearheaded the work so that all students, regardless of support needs, were able to participate in and are able to participate in all programs in Santa Maria Bonita. Thank you, Shelby. In fact, all of our program specialists, Heather Allen, Katie Ostapek, Amber Walls, and Shelby, are giving up a Saturday in November to provide training to our partners at the Boys and Girls Club on how to support individuals with disabilities in their programs. And these are just a couple of examples of how these amazing leaders go above and beyond for our students. I want to take the time to thank them and let them know that it is such a privilege to work with such incredible people. Now for a little bit more on the data. We stated earlier, our CASP data for our students with disabilities is not where we want it. But it is hard to discuss achievement before we can get to a point where students have adequate access in order to close the opportunity gap. But with the NWEA, students with disabilities demonstrated growth at a higher percentage than other students in math. And in working with assessment and accountability, more students with disabilities finished further this year than they performed last year. I wanted to end with a text from a student to their teachers, general and special education both. Dear Miss Patterson, thank you for everything you did. Thank you for being an amazing teacher and supporting me. Thank you for teaching me all the different kinds of ways of learning. And would you mind telling Mr. Monroe, thank you for being an awesome teacher and for helping me out with English. And thanks to him and you, I am in a regular class and that I still have support at Fessler too. I don't know about you, but even through text, I could hear the pride in that statement. Thanks to him and you, I am in a regular class. Big shout out to Miss Patterson and Mr. Monroe. You obviously made a profound impact on this student and undoubtedly all your students. Again, thank you for supporting all students. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Do you have any data on how many teachers have taken advantage of the professional development opportunities?
We do, and we have our district support team compiles a list of all of those trainings and who attended, and I can get that to you in a board and an
Okay.
update.
What I think I heard when a group of teachers came and spoke a couple of meetings ago was their concern for not being prepared when it initially began, and the ongoing concern regarding the behavioral issues that some students have in the regular classroom, and that even with their either behavioral support aides or whomever are with them, it is still disruptive in their classroom.
And absolutely, and just like the one general education teacher spoke, you know, that is something that he dealt with, that others deal with. We need to work together. Our general education teachers, our special education staff, to come up with a plan to help support those students so that they can be successful and so that our teachers can be successful. So it's about working together.
Okay, and you are saying that all positions are filled and that teachers have or students have this necessary support to be successful in regular classrooms.
I actually crunched the numbers a little bit, and with all of our special education ed specialists and our instructional assistants, which we have 236, our ratio of adults to a student who would receive special education services is approximately 5 to 1. That's an incredible ratio. We're extremely fortunate. 5 adults for every one student who receives specialized academic instruction. I've been doing this a long time. I've never witnessed ratios like that within a comprehensive school district. So we do have unbelievable amount of resources. Now, do we need to continue to provide training to all of our staff? Absolutely, but we're going to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
In that vein of discussion, is there any indication that teacher curriculums or educational curriculums are addressing this move towards inclusion as a model in a broader setting? In other words, is Cal-U or Cal Poly, are their students is part of their educational experience involving this? Because I think, you know, when as Ms. Cordero alluded to, I think when this was initially begun and even into this year, I think the the conversation has been around people who have gone through their educational processes and multi-subject teachers who feel very underprepared and not, regardless of what they've had as far as professional development, not prepared to kind of provide these inclusionary practices and stay on point with teaching all their other kids. Is there any indication that that's a move afoot?
It is, but we're still not where we need to be. In our general education requirements, or to be a multiple subject teacher, there's still only a few classes specifically around working with students with disabilities. But that being said, there is a push to more inclusive, like all students, culturally responsive teaching, working with students with disabilities, being inclusive as a whole. That has become more prevalent in our teacher prep program. So it is getting better, but we still have work to do and partner with with CalU. And that's the great thing with us creating the pipeline for our teachers here in partnership with CalU. We can help to shape and mold what we want out of the programs, what we want out of our future teachers, and based on what they need and our students need.
And how many of our classrooms look like this or have the inclusionary practices?
Well, all classrooms to some extent have inclusionary practices, because all students have students that have needs. And so it's not just when you have a student with a disability in your classroom that's inclusionary. It's all of these practices are good for all students, and it's just based on what they need. So really all of our classrooms have these needs, and we have some unbelievable resources within our district, not just with our instructional assistants, but the fact that we have RTI teachers, ELD coaches, instructional coaches, guidance counselors. That's amazing amount of resources. I was in a training the other day with Garden Grove, and I was talking about the amount of resources that we have to support our students and our teachers. And again, it comes to, like, it doesn't have to be the special education teacher or the general education teacher by themselves. We all need to work together. All students belong to all of us. It's not my students, it's not your students, it's our students. And we got to break down the silos that have been in education for centuries and work together. That's the only way this is going to get better for our students and for each other.
That's connected to my question. You're referring to like the silos, if you will. It seems like in education for a long time, that's been the norm, where students in special education programs are segregated to like in resource centers or whatever the terminology might be. Whereas it seems like based on what you described, the research is quite clear that actually you had said there's no research that supports segregated classes or schools are beneficial for our special education students. Is that correct?
Correct.
And assuming that is correct, which I believe it is, why then has there been such a lag to kind of embrace this inclusionary model?
I alluded to it a little bit, mindset. But I will say that California is much further behind than the rest of the country. The IDEA was passed in 2004. Most other states, within a year or two had moved to more inclusionary practices. California, for whatever reason, has struggled, which is why I think the Senate put in the bill around specifically for ed code, because yes, this was federal law. Yes, we had to adhere to it, but we weren't. So they specifically called it out. And that language that they put in there, all pupils are general education students first, including students with disabilities, that's a direct call out. That's not in IDEA anywhere. That's to California, to us, that we need to do better. And so, but so a lot of it is mindset, it's the practices, and it's hard work, but we can do it. It's what's right for our kids.
Thank you.
Okay, no further discussion or questions. Thank you, Eric. We'll acknowledge receipt of the discussion around discussion around the special education update. Thank you. Before we do our college and career readiness plan, we'll just take a brief intermission. We shall resume. Item 12B, Santa Maria Bonita School District College and Career Readiness Plan. Ms. Lo Chong Wu. And it looks like Ms. Loftus.
Yes. All right. So next, Jennifer Loftus, Executive Director of Ed Services, will provide an update on Santa Maria Bonita's College and Career Readiness Plan. Jennifer?
Thank you. Good evening, board members, Dr. McDuffie, cabinet, and those who are still with us. I'm excited to dig into Santa Maria Bonita's College and Career Readiness Plan with you tonight. As an elementary district, we often ground our decisions in the understanding that we are preparing our students for the day after high school. So even though our students are leaving us at the end of 8th grade, our mindset has to be that endpoint, that day after high school. When we think about college and career readiness, we know that the measurement has been established for us. There is a way to measure whether or not our students are leaving us, not just us, but our high school districts, college and career ready. And so I would like to share a little bit tonight about what it looks like to create those intentional experiences that allow every student to leave us college and career ready. Preparation for that day after high school means different things to different students. For some students, that means going directly into a four-year college or university. For others, college and career readiness leads them to technical college, to trade school, possibly even into the military for specialized training. And for others, they might go directly into full-time employment. So regardless of the arrow or the pathway selected by the student, the foundation for success is the same. To be college ready is the same as being career ready. In Santa Maria Bonita, our college and career readiness plan has been built on the foundational belief that all young people should be provided with access to academic, economic, and social mobility pathways. Building that solid foundation requires intentional planning. And so tonight, we are going to review some of the programs and supports in the district that are part of our CCR plan. We will talk briefly about our A through G opportunities, our CTE and other career connections, AVID and AVID Excel, college and career related field trips, and intentional high school alignment. You will notice the high school's logo on this slide, and you will see it throughout tonight's presentation on several slides. Anywhere you see this logo, that is a call out that there has been intentional alignment with our high school district. The packet of information that you are just provided with gives you a personal copy of some more detailed information about programs we will be discussing tonight. So let's start with how college and career readiness is measured. For the purpose of this conversation, we will tune into that green shaded portion of this document. In the state of California, a student is deemed college and career ready if he or she has met the milestones that you see listed in that green shaded area. A student must score a level of 3 or higher on the Smarter Balance Summative Assessment, SBAC. The student may complete a 3 or higher on 2 AP exams, score a 4 or higher on 2 International Baccalaureate exams, complete 2 semesters or 3/4 of college coursework with a grade of C or better in either an academic or a CTE subject where college credit is awarded. A student would be deemed college and career ready if he or she were awarded the state seal of biliteracy upon graduation and received a score of a level 3 or higher in ELA on the SBAC. A student would be deemed prepared if he or she met 2 years of leadership military science, scored a 3 or higher in ELA and math, and a level 2 or higher in any other subject area. Another path to preparedness would be completing A through G course requirements with a grade of C or better, plus 1 of the additional criteria that you see in the white box at the below. And finally, completion of a pathway with a grade of C or better in the capstone course, plus 1 of the additional criteria in the box below. The criteria for college and career readiness is, as you can see, quite rigorous. Because of this, we have to be really thoughtful about how we are providing our students with experiences that build what are often called soft skills. You can see the arrow pointing to the right side of that college and career readiness plan poster. We define these soft skills as a college and career ready profile. These include ensuring our students are critical thinkers, global citizens, that they are innovative, empathetic, compassionate, collaborative, and goal-oriented. Developing these skills and characteristics just does not happen by chance. These competencies are actually built through social emotional development, which is different than SEL, or social emotional learning. SEL is often a lesson that occurs once a day for 20 or 30 minutes, whereas SED is the intentional focus on building competencies for students all day long. As you can see on the left side of our CCR plan, there's a call out to meeting or working toward grade level mastery. When we provide our students with high quality, challenging instructional environments, they are offered opportunities to be in what we would call the learning pit. When you're in that learning pit, that's where the learning occurs. That is where you grow and where you also practice a lot of the competencies that are listed for our college and career ready profile. All of that being said, what we provide in a traditional classroom is not enough. So what we are going to do is talk about the bottom third of that poster that walks us through how we enhance our core curricular program. So let's take a closer look. An easy place to begin is to take a look at our curriculum and how it supports college and career readiness at various grade levels. Building college and career readiness skills actually starts with our youngest learners. If we were to take a peek into a TK classroom, you would see dramatic play happening every single day. That dramatic play theme changes throughout the year as the content changes. During the time of year when they were learning about community helpers, you might see your students dressed up as firefighters, doctors, veterinarians, policemen, acting out and the role models that they read about in their curriculum. Another nice way to enhance that experience for our students is through our literature. And so the team started a couple of years ago to really dig in and think about what it would look like to expand our college and career related literature, and have done so with intentional alignment to the different core curriculum opportunities for learning throughout all of our grades. Our counselors play actually a really big role in college and career readiness. One of the bodies of work that we've worked on over the last couple of years is building a comprehensive school counseling program. We have done that work in partnership with our high school district. A comprehensive school counseling program includes lessons for all students every year that hit academic, SEL, and college and career readiness. So let's take a peek at what that looks like for a 7th and 8th grade student. In a comprehensive counseling program, every 7th and 8th grade student is afforded these 3 different lessons at some point throughout the year, delivered by their school counselor. For a 7th grader, a lesson will be about how to be your own boss. Another lesson that is academic focused is why grades matter. Our students will then have a lesson for college and career readiness, which is about learning styles and multiple intelligence. They will do that through a platform called Zello. Once our students enter 8th grade, they will have an SED lesson on self-advocacy. There will be an academic lesson around goal setting and a college and career readiness lesson around transitioning to the high school. Specifically, in 7th grade, all of our students have a trimester of career exploration. The curriculum that is used in that course is called Get Focused, Stay Focused. The partnering curriculum is also used in the high school. So we use the beginning portion of that curriculum and they pick it up with the second half of that curriculum. The program that I mentioned on the last slide called Zello is also used in our career exploration classroom. Not only is it used there, but it can be used in other courses as well when we're looking to make those intentional career connections or when students are developing their 4 or 6 year plan. That process begins in career exploration in 7th grade. And the idea is that a student is building out what their plan is in order to ensure that they are taking the correct classes in high school to help them then get to their ultimate goal upon graduation. The district's visual and performing arts plan is also part of the college and career readiness plan. As you are aware, there are many, many careers that are related to visual and performing arts. And our goal is to not just provide those opportunities, but to also make intentional connections to career opportunities in our VAPA-related courses. We also work to align these courses or this pathway specifically opportunity with our high school district. The most current example is the development of a media arts course. The development of that course is a result of the high school district reaching out to us, asking for us to consider what it might look like to support our learners in that way, because our Zello data and the students' registration data at high school indicates that that's a high area of interest. And so we will continue to partner with them throughout the course of this year with the hope of having a solid course with intentional career opportunities built into it, hopefully for next year. As with everything we do, cultural relevance is always in the forefront. Some of the culturally relevant VAPA experiences, not specific to the course or to a course, but experience that our students have throughout the year, are listed on the right side of this slide. As you might already know, our CTE courses are in their 2nd year. It was a 3-year journey to develop the CTE coursework and to create the structures in our system that would allow all of our students to experience CTE pathways. As we know, completion of a CTE pathway is a college and career indicator, and it's also a goal of the state of California that all students experience these pathways. Our high schools have various pathway opportunities for our students, which did provide us with a challenge in how we identified which pathways we would have available or exploratory pathways we would have available for our students. We met that challenge by creatively looking at each of those pathways and then combining them in a logical way into an exploratory format. Our CTE courses currently are family and consumer sciences, computer science and business marketing, and engineering and product development. I could go on and on about what happens in these courses, but I'd much prefer to show you a quick video where our students are talking about this themselves.
The initial framework for the development of our CTE exploratory courses was the economic forecast for the Santa Maria Valley, which provides information about the local job market over the next 10 years. As educators, it's our charge to make sure that all doors of opportunity remain open for our students. As high school seniors, students should get to decide their next steps as they would have completed all requirements to prepare for the high-need, high-wage job pathway of their choosing. When our scholars get to high school, they'll be guided to complete at least one CTE pathway and to meet the requirements of A through G coursework. Having done this, their options remain open. Through our CTE exploratory courses, students will have the opportunity to explore many different industry sectors that will help them decide which pathway to follow in high school. As we continue to prepare our students for their next steps through rigorous grade level instruction and to expose them to intentional CCR experiences from kindergarten through 8th grade, the CTE exploratory courses are a timely culminating experience that will help them make critical pathway decisions during the high school registration process. Upon high school graduation, some may choose to work immediately after high school using the CTE industry certificate they earned as a result of their CTE pathway. Some may choose to go to Hancock College and earn their AA degree and advance their skills in their chosen field. And some may choose to continue their education to earn a 4-year degree and beyond that may be related to their CTE pathway. This means CTE for all. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Cameron. I'm the coordinator of teaching and learning. The CTE exploratory courses and the alignment to the high school pathways are a part of our larger SMBSD college and career readiness plan. This plan is linked on our teaching and learning webpage, and we continue to welcome feedback from all educational partners as we develop CCR experiences for students at all grade levels.
Hello, my name is Christina Blanco. I am a teacher here at El Camino Junior High for Course A, Family Consumer Science. Course A allows students to explore CTE pathways that directly align with our local high schools. They are subjects like fashion design, interior design, culinary arts, child development, and hospitality and tourism. They also learn about nutrition and wellness.
Hi, I'm an 8th grader at El Camino Junior High School. What I enjoy about this CTE lab is the amount of hands-on experience you get here. And I did this today is a milkshake. And it's supposed to be like a more healthy option than for a milkshake since it doesn't have as much calories as a standard milkshake you would normally get from the fast food restaurant.
My name is Miles Gary. I am the teacher at Tommy Cruz and I teach the CTE B class. The pathways that align to our course here are industrial tech, and business, agriculture, and some construction courses.
Hi, I'm an 8th grader at Palmacombe Junior High. My favorite module in the course was CAD, which, if you don't know, stands for Computer Aided Drafting and Design. So it should technically be CAD. But what I like about it is that what specifically it's doing is like designing floor plans and stuff like that. And it just feels nice to me that I can just make everything organized. Yeah, the one that aligns to my future aspirations probably the most is the game design one, because I've always been interested in game design and I would like to try and pursue that like later, such as in high school or college.
I'm Scott Rice. I work at Arianis Junior High School teaching the engineering CTE course, also known as Course C. So the units that I teach tie in with construction, engineering, and everything that has to do with space and the Space Force base that's right over the hill at Vandenberg. I walk a fine line of how much I want my students to learn and how much I want them to experience. These CTE classes are about both parts. We want the students to learn about career paths that they can have in the future. That's our biggest goal, is to get them thinking about what they want to do in the high school and then beyond. But we also want them to have the experience of being able to have hands-on work. That hands-on work really gives them the passion to be able to move on to high school and choose one of the CTE paths that they offer.
I'm an 8th grader at Ariana Junior High. Well, it's really creative, honestly. It's like we have different things. We've done bottle rockets, we've done bridges. They're really fun because it really induces your creativity. There were different types of bridges. I was trying to start off with like a blistering bridge, but that would have to be like constructed differently than I wanted it to. So I just went with something simpler. The bottle rocket, that was really fun because it was nice to see it go. Bridge building actually kind of set me on to the goal of either pursuing something to do with interior designing or maybe architecture, actually, because I really like the process that goes into it. It's challenging, and it's challenging in a good way.
Lots of exciting things happening in our CTE courses. We've also spent the last 2 years thinking about how we can kickstart that A through G pathway for our students as well. And the perfect opportunity in our community was to really think about Spanish and offering Spanish 1 and Spanish for native speakers to our 8th grade students. In order to receive that A through G credit, we had to partner very closely and continue to partner very closely with our Spanish teachers in our high school. And this opportunity to take Spanish 1 or Spanish for native speakers is one more purposeful intention to ensure that our students are really maintaining or growing their ability to be multilingual, multiliterate, with the intention of ensuring they're on the path to attain the seal of biliteracy upon graduation. Also, another college and career ready indicator. Beyond that, AVID and AVID Excel are both priorities for our district. Each of our junior highs offer AVID opportunities to our students. You can see that at Arianis, there are 2 AVID classes, 1 AVID Excel. Fessler offers 6 AVID classes and additionally 3 AVID Excel courses. Tommy Kuntz, 4 AVID, 2 AVID Excel. El Camino, 4 AVID, 4 AVID Excel. You might also recall earlier in the year when we were talking about AVID professional development in our district, and that we partnered with AVID in order to bring a full strand of learning to all of our junior high non-math teachers. And the second 6-hour session will occur on November 1st. So again, all junior high teachers who are not teachers of math teachers are receiving math-specific professional development, but all of our other teachers will be engaged in that AVID-specific strand training. We also have 5 elementary sites who are AVID elementary sites: Adam, Bonita, Bryce, Jimenez, and Libin. While it is optional for a school site to sign up and take the journey of becoming an AVID elementary site, our goal is to make sure that we have AVID strategies happening for all students in all classrooms. AVID strategies are just good strategies. They're not AVID strategies. They're the strategies that AVID has identified and pulled together so that all of these best practices are happening in classrooms. And so with every professional development opportunity that we have, we intentionally think about what AVID strategy we can incorporate into that learning experience for our teachers. Experiencing the world outside of the classroom is also really important because we want to be thoughtful about the college and career ready experiences that students are afforded beyond that classroom experience. A key distinction to make is that when we say CCR experiences, we are talking about college and career experiences. We do not want to limit our students' idea of what it means to be college and career ready, because that might be a technical school, a trade school, a military specialty, or a four-year college. All of these options can lead to equal levels of success upon graduation of high school. On the screen, you see a couple of examples of career-related trips and college trips provided by the district. We also know that our migrant program does an exceptional job of providing students with college-specific trips. Pathful Connect is a nice, powerful program that supports our teachers in ensuring that their field trips, whenever possible, have a direct career experience. What that means is that I might visit the aquarium in Monterey. What a perfect opportunity to talk about becoming a marine biologist or an oceanographer. Through Pathful Connect, our teachers can have that field trip experience with their students, and either before going or after going on that experience, they can connect with actual marine biologists in our area who will talk with their class via Zoom. It's a fabulous resource. You'll also find a one-pager for that program in your packet. All grade levels are provided access to this program or to this resource. In elementary, it's really about promoting awareness. But in junior high, we like to use this resource in our CTE courses, in our health class that all students experience in 7th grade so that we can make intentional connections to careers in the medical field. We can use this in our VAPA courses to connect to careers that are aligned to visual and performing arts. And of course, we use it in our 7th grade career exploration class. There are 2 final layers at this time called out on this screen, and that is the Seal of Civic Engagement pathway, also a seal that can be received by a student upon graduation, and a district-wide computer science plan. As we look to the near future, we will be creating, alongside our teachers, through our teacher advisory teams, a comprehensive computer science plan. We want to ensure that we have thought very carefully about what skills all students should have at each specific grade level. And then, like anything else that I've shared tonight, that we make sure that it happens by design and not by chance. Our TNL supplemental team will continue to bring the VAPA plan that they've shared with you previously to life with the support of their teacher advisory team. And we'll continue to build those career connections into our VAPA experiences and VAPA related courses. As mentioned earlier, the TNL supplemental team is working to develop that media arts course that will potentially become part of the CTE wheel. Currently, our students have all 3 offerings. They take 3 of 3. There's consideration for the possibility of the media arts class being part of that wheel, in which case students would select 3 of the 4 CTE exploratory courses. We will continue to map our CCR related experiences across all grade levels because we know that building self-awareness and career awareness supports students in making intentional decisions about their amazing futures. Education is a lifelong adventure. It is our hope that our offerings are such that the scenario captured in the video that you just watched and the scenario that you see on this screen becomes visible to our students. As an 8th grader, I might explore engineering and product development in my junior high CTE class. And because of that, I might enroll in the manufacturing and product development pathway when I enter high school. I will have the opportunity to earn a certificate in high school for CNC machine operation or continue to a community college where I might achieve a higher level or more advanced skills to aim for a higher position than entry level machining and or continue to a four-year college to become a mechanical engineer or industrial designer, having a leg up because of the experience that I have in the industry already with those CNC machines. This type of pathway can be applied to any number of career paths. Culinary arts might lead to becoming a chef or a restaurant owner, a game designer or a software engineer, a robotics engineer or an electromechanical technician, or perhaps even specialized military training that leads me to the Space Force for any number of STEM-related careers just down the road. We, SMBSD, will continue to collaborate and align our experiences with our high school partners and continue to collaborate with our institutions of higher education in an effort to ensure that all of our students continue to benefit from an ongoing, continuously enhanced college and career readiness plan. And that is our plan. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have or take any input that you would like to provide.
I don't really have any questions. I am just very impressed with how much more the experiences have expanded in just the last 10 years. And I'm sure it's because of the greater emphasis on the career aspect of being ready in it, you know, and with the understanding that college may not be the right fit for every student, but there are many other kinds of opportunities that are. And I know with the opening of the vocational training center with the Santa Maria Joint has, I mean, that is a program that is new programs, or at least one new program has been added every year since it's opened. So that can provide our students just a myriad of opportunities to go down, in addition to what kinds of things are offered at each school site. So it's very impressive. Thank you. Yeah.
I would share that we're working very diligently this year to work a field trip experience to that center into our 7th grade career exploration class. Because once you've experienced it, it's something to be seen, and I think very motivating to our students as well.
I really appreciate Ms. Cordero, you bringing up the adage that many folks bring up, which is that, you know, college may or may not be for everybody or is not for everybody. However, I want to provide some nuance to that, which is, I remember a couple of years ago reading an article that says those who say college isn't for everybody don't mean their own children. And what really caught my attention about that article is that it's often along economic lines, where working class kids of color are often told college isn't for everybody. And yet those same people that say that to them often went to college themselves or encouraged their own children to attend college. So I just want us to be really, really like cognizant of that dynamic, because in affluent schools, that's not the standard. That in affluent schools, the standard is you're going to go to college, right? That's the standard. And then from there, if you choose to start your own business or do something else, well, so be it. So I just want us to be really, really careful about that phrase, because I think it could potentially, you know, speaking of, we've been talking about mindsets today. And so what's the mindset that we have towards our young people? We know that the vast majority of them are from low-income backgrounds, like the one that I grew up in. And I did notice in my educational experience that I didn't always get the message that college was for me. I don't recall many of my educators in elementary, middle school, and even high school saying, hey, Ricardo, you can go to college. Hey, don't worry about, the economics. Like, you can do it. There's financial aid. So I just want to really share that for me, because that's something that I know I definitely felt as a young person growing up in this community, and that I don't want any of our educators at all levels to inadvertently make that bias against our young people, because it's very much still present in our community.
I appreciate that call out. I would add that we believe firmly that every student should graduate both college and career ready, so that any choice that a student wants to make, they have the ability to open those doors. We also want to remove the barriers of I can't, I don't know how, I can't afford to. And so when we talk about those career exploration courses, the Zello program, building out that 4 to 6 year plan, it includes methods or information on how you do break down those barriers. We have parent events where students are being shown how to complete FAFSAs, right? So that they can access financial aid. And so I would not ever want the message to be that you're for this or you're for that. What I hope and what we hope is that all students leave the day after high school with the skills they need to make the choice that is best for them.
Did you want to add something, John?
Waiting for you.
Okay. So yeah, I also appreciate that, because at the high school level, that's the conversations that are being had as well, right? Is we want our young people to go through the pathways, but with the understanding, and many of those pathways are now A through G, including things like culinary arts, things that used to be not a college prep class are now an A through G course. So it's sort of like, we're catching up with the times, right? To say, hey, we don't want to limit the options of our young people as we've done in the past. And so I think that if the high school district is doing it and we're not, if we both have different mindsets, they're going to get mixed messages, right? Our young people. And so I really appreciate you sharing that with us. One of the things that I learned at a school board conference, it was a presentation by the Greenfield School District. And what they do with their young people is they ensure that every student, beginning, I believe, at grade 5, get to go on a college, on a 4-year university field trip. So they might say, okay, 5th graders, you're going to go to Stanford, and it's built in. It's a guaranteed. It's I like the phrase you used. It's by design and not by chance. And so 6th graders, you're going to be going to Berkeley this year, right? 7th graders, you're going to be going to Sonoma State. 8th graders, you're going to go to San Francisco State. And so what that does is that makes it so that every young person, before they leave their elementary and middle school district, or maybe their comprehensive school district, has a chance to visit these colleges. I know from personal experience that, many of our families don't know, how to go on college field trips. Sometimes there's a language barrier, sometimes there's an economic barrier. So if we don't provide that for our young people, then they're going to miss out on those opportunities. And I can share that our local data is showing that we have some room for growth, right? The state average is approximately 50% of students meeting A through G, meaning they're eligible to apply to a 4-year university. And in our district, it's closer to 33% on average, right? So I'd much rather have the odds of 50% of us being eligible, right? That's just us being average, versus 1 out of 3. So that's one of the ways that they're doing that. They're building that college going culture, is by ensuring, right, that their students have the opportunity to do that. So I want to propose for our district, right, assuming that my board colleagues, support it, that we also figure out a way to make that happen, where every young person has the opportunity starting, grade 6 to at least visit, whether it's Cal Poly, UC Santa Barbara, or maybe one of our other neighboring universities. And so that's something that I want to continue to discuss with the board and with the superintendent about how can we be, very intentional about making that happen. Because I noticed in my own educational journey that thanks to Avid, that's where I was able to visit 4-year colleges. And once I actually visited a 4-year college, it made the prospect of going to college so much more feasible. Whereas prior to that, it was just kind of like this elusive dream that, I didn't seem like I could reach. In fact, when I was an Avid student at Samurai High School, we did something that most schools don't do. We raised money for freshman, sophomore, junior year. So at the end of our junior year, we were able to go to the East Coast. So we were able to go to universities in Boston. We were able to go to universities in New York, and we were able to go to universities in Washington, D.C. I mean, that's like unheard of for your average, public school. But, we had staff that were very intentional, but that set a very high standard for us. And sure enough, some of my classmates did end up applying and going to universities on the East Coast. And I was privileged enough to go to the East Coast for my master's degree. So planting these seeds at a really, really young age, it does have an impact. So I'm glad to see that we're taking folks to the Vandenberg Air Force Base where they're going to get exposure to STEM and to STEAM. And we need to make sure that they're getting that exposure to 4 universities so that by the time they get to high school, they already are fired up about it or more motivated. So what, if any, have been the conversations around doing something like that for our young people?
I love that you bring up that point. First, let me say that in your packet that you have, the last 2 pages provide you with an update of the college-specific trips that were experienced across our district last year and what's been planned for so far by school sites this year. As you know, we provide our school sites with $20,000 a year to support school-specific college-related, career-related field trips. We also take that same approach that it is by design and not by chance to those experiences that we are looking to build in system-wide, just like our computer science plan, just like many of the other things that I mentioned here this evening. Our first take at that has been all of our 8th grade students for the 2nd year in a row have been able to visit Allen Hancock College as part of their career, the Career Carnival experience. We want to expand that to what does that look like for a 7th grade student or possibly a different trip for an 8th grade student. And again, looking very carefully at each grade level. For some, it might be going to the aquarium as they're very young and they're exploring different opportunities that are connected to their curriculum. And then as we progress up the grades, more and more intentional experiences that are on those university campuses. And so you will see that continue to grow and expand. I think we all know transportation has been a challenge the last few years while we've been building this plan, but we have found a way to get around that with the help of some little bit pricey, but charter buses, right? And so we're going to continue to work with all of those different agencies and think about what makes sense for a 7th grader, what makes sense for a 6th grader, where might we go for each of those different grade levels. We also know that our AVID students do experience additional university trips, but I think we need to extend it beyond our AVID courses. Not all of our students select that. They might select leadership. They might select Spanish for native speakers. And so we can't walk past what does that look like to build that in intentionally across multiple grade levels. So you will get updates on that as we're able to expand that in a more intentional way.
And my follow-up to that is regarding AVID, I noticed that it's available at some of our elementary sites, and you had referenced that it's optional for some of our sites. Do you know why we take that approach?
I can share that if you are an individual teacher at the junior high or high school teacher, you seek that training and you seek to teach that course. If you are an elementary school, in order to become an AVID elementary school, there has to be a consensus of a significant portion of the staff to be willing to attend that training and then to go back and implement those strategies with fidelity in classroom. And built into that process is a reporting mechanism where you are reporting your progress as a school site. And so different schools at different points in time have chosen to go down that path or to step aside from that path, depending on what their current emphasis is in their classroom. We continue at the district level to encourage it and support it in any way that we can, because we do think it's good for our kids. We also want to honor sites that have different areas that they're working in, but no matter what, we can still get those strategies in the classroom.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I wanted to bring up is, I understand AVID is not free, right? That it does cost resources, right? However, if it's worth the benefits, then, I don't see why we wouldn't have every single educator, it's Avid school wide, right? That mindset of every single one of the kids in front of us is capable of going to college, should they choose to, to take that for themselves. But it's a mindset thing. And that's what kind of worries me about some sites having it, some sites not. It might give the impression that, as false or accurate as it might be, that they're not really, that they don't have that mindset, that they don't have that belief in our young people. And I'm confident that the majority do, but, having those systems in place are what's going to ensure in that training. Because I remember when I was in high school, I did also see that there was some tension between teachers that taught Avid and those that were like not into Avid or didn't, necessarily believe in the ideas that Avid was trying to promote, which to me kind of didn't make sense because it was like, hey, Avid is trying to prepare all students to be eligible to go to college. The data shows that over 90% of our young people that successfully go through the Avid program are eligible for a foreign university, and that's way higher than most, other, things that I've seen. So that's something that I would want us to, that's a challenge that I would continue to have for our all of our sites is if they're not embracing that model, okay, what model are you embracing that has proven results? If you have something better, I'm all ears, but I have yet to see a whole lot of other programs that are as effective. So that's why I advocate for it highly.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a danger there, Mr. Valencia, in trying to superimpose what system works well at the high school for our elementary schools. You can't. I also know that at the high school level, you're talking about 90% of the kids, and you made sure that you said completed. One of the problems at the high schools, comprehensive high schools in our district, the high school district, is that a lot of those kids they enter into the Avid and then they drop right back out. So part of what needs to happen with trying to institute Avid practices or having Avid available is the fidelity piece and the piece that's going to be there with support so that people who are providing that educational pathway are getting the support they need. And also the people or the kids who are there are engaged in it and it's effective. So the efficacy that you're seeing at the high school level may not be something that's going to have the same application to an elementary classroom or to a multi-subject instructor. So I appreciate the focus on it. There have been several schools in the district that have had Avid practices rather than calling out actually having an Avid school that I think, as Ms. Loftus alluded to, that have been very successful. So, and we also have any number of other really successful things that we're trying to institute right now. So if that's if that's something you feel strongly about, then probably that's something that I think could be, where you would go and seek out the engagement with teaching and learning and where that's happening, and then maybe finding out more about that. Because I think I know that your experience is really positive and what the experience is on the high school level, but I'm not sure that you can make a direct the correlation that you're jumping to from that experience. So I think it'd be good to rather than have people give you information here or send it to you in an email, is go talk to them. Because I think there's, like you said, it's nuanced, and I don't think nuance can come through in an email or prep, the exchange of written word right now. So I think that would be I would encourage you to do that, because I have with the campuses that have done it before, and it's really educational. Ms. Loftus, I wanted to make a comment on the seventh graders going out to the CDE. I talked with Dr. Robinson about actually that maybe being sixth graders. And my thinking is that, if you're looking at providing a pathway when they get into seventh and eighth grade, that seventh grade might be late. So rather than waiting till they're there, sixth grade, I mean, it's, there's all kinds of things I think we're trying to do to really welcome our elementary school kids onto our middle school campuses. And that'll maybe even be more so when that maybe switch comes to going sixth through eighth. So that would be just something I would encourage you to talk to Dr. Robinson about, because he was open to that. No, it also, for me, one of the big things that comes out of talking about college and career readiness is, let me take one step back. the other thing, and I want to echo the sentiments of my fellow board members, is that, and you, and compliment you on it, is that, Mr. Polera and my wife, when we were talking about the CTE 2 years ago in board meetings, and dedicating it to Dr. Richardson, we're really talking about where it's gotten to, and it's come a lot further along now. But they wanted to make the distinction that it was, as you've stated, not really vocational training, not a terminal thing to step into the workplace after you're done, but that it's education. That it's education that's a parallel pathway that is making you more ready for college and whatever else you may choose to do. And that kind of leads me to what I was going to say about what my comment was, is that we have to be really careful, I think, just my impression, about really melding college and career readiness and continuing to really talk about career. In one of our strategics meetings, Kevin Smith and I were talking about the large number of people that look at college, and because there's not a career tied to it, decide to opt out or go to college with the intent of having a career and drop out, or get out of college and not have a job. And so I think we need to think about it maybe a little bit more holistically. And I know there's not really a way of verbally separating the two, but maybe just thinking about the college part a little bit more broadly than just that it leads to a career. I think most of our, at least from, if you are to believe what's been written, and currently most of our young people are not going to have one career. They're not going to have two careers, probably going to have three, maybe more. So they really have to be fairly nimble, and they have to have a really, hearkening back to an old term, a liberal arts style of a broad education. So we have to be careful with the specificity we talk about career and college together with, I think. And maybe even the motivation that one lends towards the other. So in saying, okay, I've gone to the Monterey Aquarium and the marine biologist thing, I could tell you about, from a marine biology degree standpoint, not a lot of jobs. But also
We need
space.
science teachers.
Thank you. We do.
Okay.
But we also need an appreciation of science. It's kind of like, it's also like math. Math gives us this, I was looking at geometry stuff today, right? That's what I do in my spare time. But geometry proofs and the things we do in geometry also give us a sense of analytical and critical thinking. So education for education's sake maybe doesn't actually happen, but it's also the reason we do VAPA. We have other things. And as Mr. Valencia said, it's the reason that people of wealth send their kids to boarding schools or private schools where they have a really broad education, and they're not focused on one career. They're focused on really being able to take on to get a college degree, or to get an advanced degree, or do whatever they can to learn how to communicate with people in the world, and to advance themselves and be successful. And that may be in citizenship or and obviously, hopefully in community, right? So I think that's really my only comment, is that we be careful about the specificity of that. I love the motivation though, and I love the experiential stuff.
And I'm just going to mention, I appreciate the fact with the readiness piece and not blurring the lines and being specific, is that you have our mission statement here that talks broadly about what type of person we want to leave this school district. One that is discovering their passion and purpose, exercising self-determination, and developing the skills to reach their maximum potential, whatever that may be. Thank you for putting that.
No, you're right. And I know, Jennifer, it's a college and career readiness presentation too. I get that, even though that maybe doesn't totally seem like it. But I just, that's always kind of one of those things that gets me to thinking. So thanks for letting me share that with you.
Thank you for sharing.
And on that note, I'll acknowledge receipt of the update on the district's college and career readiness plan. Well played, well done. Thank you so much for all that info and our handout. That is all that is agendized, and we don't have any new business items. Do we, Mr. Lara, do you have a report?
Yeah, I did a couple things last Friday. I went to El Camino to the jogathon. And it was really fun. I did 8 laps, but mind you, I walked them. Everybody's looking at me. I walked them. I saw everybody look up, but it was great because the kids were staring at me. They kept staring at my badge and was wondering, am I a resource officer or something? They finally, broke free and we started talking and had some good conversations with those kids. It's, seeing how they were and what they were enjoying about the school and everything. And that was a good time. And then that Friday night, I was at the Fall Festival at Jimenez and helped cook tacos, and that was wild. I've never seen so much parent participations in kids. That whole area was the basketball court right there behind the principal's office was just a great time, kids and all. So it was a great start of my weekend.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to report. But the presentations today were great, both the special education and the the college and career. Definitely different from what I grew up with and would have provided a clearer path to a future back then. So I'm happy the kids now have that. It looks brighter for everybody.
Well, I've had a busy couple of weeks. For the past 2 Mondays, our whole child action team has been meeting and making progress toward, building some recommendations, and had some very, very thoughtful conversations. I think we're all beginning to realize that taking on the whole child aspect is that everything that we really do and all of the other teams, it all goes toward the effort of addressing the needs of the whole child. So we're going to have to be strategic, I guess would be the word, in how we make our proposals in order to try to not overreach and to acknowledge that other pieces are playing into that. So it has been a really good experience. The high school had a dedication and official opening for their beautiful new building that is quite immense. I don't think I realized how immense it is. And it was not a real long procedure, but it was really nice and a lot of not a huge crowd there, but and students were available afterwards to give tours through. Some of the classrooms were open, and the technology that is embedded in the classrooms is very amazing. So that was very impressive. I also made a visit to Sanchez, and Dr. Elliott, who is the principal there, I think, do I have, yes, having a brain freeze there for a moment, had mentioned a newcomer program that they had implemented, and that really caught my eye because even as long ago as when I was getting my master's at Cal Poly, one of the I did a report on newcomer programs. And so it's always been something that has been kind of intriguing to me. And it was interesting to see how that was shaping up. And I had a lot of questions and got a lot of questions answered, and must say that I am hopeful that it is something that really will really help our students in third grade and up who actually arrive here directly from either Mexico or another country to assimilate into our school system with a little bit more support than what we do with our regular program, without them missing out on the academic pieces that they have, but having extra support to help them understand that better. So I was very impressed with that. The food bank had their Empty Bowls event last week, and it was wonderful to see a pretty large contingent of folks from Santa Maria Bonita. And I know in part it is because we work directly with the food bank at two of our pantry events that are held each month. So that was really, really nice. Something that my husband and I have supported for quite a number of years and have an interest in. Scholarship Foundation, our meeting last week was extremely interesting because some information was shared with us about how many of our students are actually applying for scholarships. And I don't want to take too long, but they showed us data from 2017 through 2023. And of course, during the couple of years, during 21 and 20 and even into 22, the applications for scholarships did dip a little, but it has been interesting to see that applications from North County are outnumbering the applications from South County, and it used to be the opposite. So the work that group or this group has been is to build better outreach to our high schools to encourage and support students and their families to apply for a whole variety. I mean, the Scholarship Foundation is like a clearinghouse where they collect money, and you could get a scholarship from in a variety of entities, other foundations or individual people. It varies. So last year from North County, we had 2,100 students apply for scholarships. Unfortunately, out of the total of almost 3,500 that were applied for, we were not able to fund as high a percentage as in the past. It was 64% as opposed to a high of 90% just a couple of years ago. And that really just goes to donations and funders and that kind of thing. But another thing that it piqued all of our interest, because most everybody that serves on that board are related to education in some way or another, but the GPA, the variance of where it started in 2019-20 at having a GPA of 3.87 has now gone up to 4.01. And then it gave different statistics for the various schools in it right here in Santa Maria and Lompoc. So it's has been a very rewarding experience to see that increase in the number of our students who apply and who are receiving scholarships. So I would encourage anyone, you can do it now that we're doing it all virtually. Almost anybody could do it. It used to be we went out to the school sites and did it, and it involved, time during the workday, but it is an extremely rewarding experience because you really see, for the most part, the brightest and best, and their stories are always different and very intriguing. I too stopped by the Jogathon at El Camino on Friday, and I didn't go to Jimenez, but I went to Ontiveros and actually worked one of the stations and was kept very busy over the course of the 2.5-hour evening, they use tickets to buy things, popcorn and drinks, and was a little bit taken aback when there were 3 or 4 dads that had their kids there that came up to me and said, "Are you Mrs. Cordero?" And yes, "You were my 2nd grade teacher here back." And I'm like, oh my goodness, that means, I don't even want to mention what that means, but it was kind of fun. Hope Village is about to open in December. And if you're not, that is something to help with our homeless problem in our community. And they're looking for donors to go out and purchase bedding and blankets and towels and items such as that to completely get them ready for when they will be allowing them to enter there. And 2 of the, yesterday afternoon, the United Way sponsored a presentation at Allen Hancock on the real cost of living in Santa Barbara County. I was pretty blown away at that information. And then this morning was the state of the city. And I can tell you that we have responded as a city to the mandate to increase housing in our community. And that is going to continue and hopefully benefit everyone. I think that's it.
Some new business or items that I would like to have agendized is, and I believe some of this is coming up, is the dual language immersion updates. So that's something that we had received a presentation about not too long ago, but I do want to receive them a little bit more frequently than say like yearly. Like I would recommend like something like quarterly, just to get updates on how things are going, what challenges are folks experiencing, what opportunities are there. And so that's something that I would appreciate getting a little bit more frequent updates about. In our weekly board updates, we were sent some preliminary numbers around the teacher residency program. And it was wonderful to see how many local folks are taking advantage of that, and how we're trying to eliminate barriers that are typical into teacher residency programs, such as the cost and the testing that goes along with it. But I did notice that the numbers were a little bit lower than I think was anticipated. And so that's definitely something that I would like to see is what are we doing to recruit and to encourage more folks? Because I believe a survey was sent out and we had like over 100 folks respond within a 24-hour period. But then the numbers that are going through the training are much lower than that. So I'm just curious to see kind of what's going on and how can we expand that teacher residency program. Another thing I received an update about, or we received as a board, is the some of the financial literacy things that are being done in our school. So it was wonderful to see little snippets of what teachers are trying to do to incorporate financial literacy. And something that I would like to see is kind of have a conversation around what else can we do to increase the intentionality of what we're doing around financial literacy. We know that some states require it, some states don't. And so it's another one of those things that if we don't provide our young people with this information, at an early age, they're going to potentially, suffer the consequences of not knowing how to manage a credit card, for example, or, getting caught up in a predatory loan, for example. So these are things that are impacting our communities that I know that our education systems can truly make an impact on. Another thing I would like to see as a follow-up is we received some of the data around the student test scores, such as the SBAC, ELA. Some of the results that were shared with us was that fewer than only a quarter of our students are currently meeting or exceeding proficiency in ELA. And then that's fewer when it comes to math and science. And some of the things that we received was that a goal is to reach 50% of our students, meaning demonstrating proficiency. So one of the things that I would like some follow-up on is how does our data as a school district compare to similar districts? How does our data compare in the county of Santa Barbara? How does it compare in the state? And so that way, all of our staff, all of our students, and us as a board can get a sense of where are we at, and what do we intend to do to improve those results. And what are we going to do differently, right? Because we know if we keep doing the same thing, then we're going to be getting similar results. So I'm excited to continue to engage in these courageous conversations around how we can provide our students maximum opportunities. And then in closing, November 1st marks the first day of Native American Heritage Month, which celebrates the culture, the history, and achievements of Indigenous peoples of North America. And that's a resolution that I would like to see for our November board meeting and to honor Native American Heritage Month. Thank you very much.
It was good to see the students again tonight. And I did miss them. That was really cool. We've had a lot of good inspiration, but I do appreciate seeing our student leaders and their contribution to their fellow students. Not a whole lot to add to that. I did talk to I've talked to teachers on a couple of campuses that were concerned about lack of parent participation in the panorama surveys and engagement with parents out just in general for their communities. And so I think, obviously that can be seen as an equity issue as far as some parents on some campuses. I mean, Mr. Lotto mentioned how participatory the folks at Jimenez are, and that may be different than some of the campuses I heard from. So just encourage staff to think about different ways to continue to reach out and foment some greater engagement. I remember when our daughter was at Santa Maria High School, Mr. Dominguez started Cafecitas with the parents. So just coffee and chatting. So just, things like that. I don't know that always translates to a junior high or is something that that's going to be the best fit for us, but just thinking of things like that are maybe a little less formal, but trying to get people to come in. And then as they come in and become more, feel more invited and welcome on the campuses, they may engage in some of the more important issues or more important things that we're asking of them as well. But that's it.
All right. Thank you, President Hollins. I can't talk now. President Hollins head. I really enjoyed having student leaders here this evening as well. I got to get to their first meeting. I did miss their first meeting. I was at a conference. So I will be joining them on Friday. And I'm also expecting to be interviewed by 6 of them. So I'm looking forward to that. A little nervous about that as well. Also, we will be looking into, I believe it is reading counts and determining, and I will be talking to that young lady on Friday about what we find out in regards to why it is not at her school. I think I'm gonna leave it there. Finally, for us, Wednesday is a no school day for students midweek. So staff will be participating in professional development. And students will have that day off on November 1st. So with that, that's all I have.